Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Torah records, promised land was given forever to all the descendants of Abraham. The politically motivated claim that the promised land given to Abraham by God was exclusively for the tribe of Jews is fundamentally refuted by Torah, the sacred book of Judaism. The question is, do those who are killing non-Jews for that land truly believe in their own sacred scriptures? Let me read some worth-noting texts translated into English from the original Hebrew Bible, the Torah. The opening book of Torah is known as Genesis. In the opening verse of Genesis chapter number 12, it is written, and I quote, "The Lord said to Abram, go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you, and I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." Please note, Abram was the earlier name of Prophet Abraham. Abram heard the above command when he was 75 years old, and he departed from Haran and came to the land of Canaan. In the next chapter number 13 and verses 14 to 17, it is recorded, God said to Abram, "Now lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, eastward and westward, for all the land which you see, I will give it to you and to your descendants forever, and I will make your descendants as the dust of the earth. So if anyone can number the dust of the earth, then your descendants can be numbered. Arise, walk about the land through its length and breadth, for I will give it to you." In the opening verse of Genesis chapter 15, we are told that God came to Abram in a vision and said, "Do not fear, Abram. I am a shield to you, and your reward shall be very great." In verse number 5, it is recorded that God asked Abram to step outside of his tent and said, "Now look toward the heavens and count the stars, if you are able to count them. So shall be your descendants." Think, if the promised land and the prophecies attached to the land were meant exclusively for the Jews and not for the rest of the descendants of Abraham, then God would not have promised Abraham, "I will make your descendants as numerous in numbers as the dust of the earth or the stars in the heaven." In the year 2008, the world population was 6.69 billion, out of which only 15 million were Jews, 2.23 billion were Christians, 1.41 million were Muslims. In other words, in 2008, the Christians were 33%, Muslims were 21%, and the Jews were only 0.023% of the world population. When Abraham, meaning exalted father, was 99 years old, God asked him to change his name to Abram, meaning father of a multitude. Who could have imagined what the Almighty had planned for this old man who had only one son? God alone knew that Abraham was to become the father and founder of true monotheism, and in his bosom God would raise three great faiths, namely Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We often hear that Abraham was Jewish, a term applied to the tribe of Judah. According to the biblical genealogy, Judah was the great-grandson of Abraham. Hence, he could not be called a Jew. Religious beliefs of Abraham were neither founded upon the Jewish Bible nor upon the Christian Bible. None can deny that Abraham lived nearly 4 centuries before Prophet Moses and 16 centuries before Prophet Jesus. The Quran reveals Abraham was not a Jew nor yet a Christian, but he was an upright man who surrendered to Allah. He was not of the idolaters. Chapter 3, verse 67. When God decided to test the faith of Abraham, he asked Abraham to offer his only son as a sacrificial offering. Obviously, such a proposition with that kind of phrase, your only son, could only be made before the birth of Isaac. We learn from Genesis chapter 17, verses 24, 25, and 26, that when Prophet Abraham was 99 years old, his firstborn son Ishmael was 13 years old. It is also recorded the father and son were both circumcised this very same day. On that day of circumcision, if Isaac was even 8 days old, he would have been also circumcised with the other two, according to the God's covenant of circumcision, which is recorded earlier in verse 9 of the same chapter, number 17. Torah has given a singular importance to that only son who was offered for sacrifice. It has not been given to anyone else. Here is the noteworthy text from Genesis chapter 22, verse 18. And in your seed all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Note, the phrase your seed is in the singular form, meaning from the descendant of that only son that Abraham had. Jews and Christians do often claim that Ishmael was son of Abraham when he was born, but Ishmael lost their status after Isaac was born to the first wife of Abraham. This claim is made null and void by the following text from the Bible. I quote, and Abraham's sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah. Genesis chapter 25, verse 9, meaning Ishmael and Isaac both were recognized as the sons of Abraham by the author of the scripture even after Prophet Abraham had left this world at the age of 175. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon all the prophets.